good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends where you are. Welcome to our webinar called Mastering Incident Response. In this webinar, we will look at Flowmon ADS, and I'm going to show you recommended workflows, how to analyze events, how to interpret and understand those events. To agenda, I'm going to briefly introduce you to the network detection response technology. Then we will go through a couple of slides that explain how to effectively navigate in Flowmon ADS. And we will conclude the session with a live incident investigation. So what is network detection response, or NDR? NDR is a technology that is designed as a second layer of defense whenever there is a threat that is not being blocked by firewall or that is not being neutralized by endpoint detection response, and that threat is becoming active in your environment. Network detection response is the second line of defense that is able to detect that threat on timely manner, so you can respond to the threat before the damage is done, so before your data is exfiltrated, before your data is encrypted. So it's meant as an additional layer of security to be able to respond quickly to threats that are able to enter your environment and that are able to bypass your preventive measures. In terms of Flowmon, our NDR capabilities are based on Flowmon Anomaly Detection System. It's our NDR platform that is built on top of our network performance monitoring capabilities. So we're basically monitor all the network traffic, generate traffic statistics called flows or IPFIX, and then we use this data for the performance for the purpose of network performance monitoring for network operations. And at the same time, we leverage the same data for threat detection using our signatureless algorithms and capabilities. We also have additional capability called Flowmon EDS Probe, which is based on open source Suricata, and we provide this free of charge as a simple signature-based detection that comes with community signatures, and you can use it free of charge on top of Flowmon probes. And we have integrated both signatureless and signature-based detection in the anomaly detection system, so you can actually benefit from signature-based detection as an integrated part of the anomaly detection system that provides additional context to behavior-based detections. So how it works in principle? We use different data sources, our own network telemetry, third-party sources, information about user identities, raw packet data, threat intelligence, and we apply on this data different types of algorithms that combine machine learning techniques, adaptive baselining, heuristic algorithms, behavior patterns, reputation analysis, and signatures. So we inspect the traffic from different perspectives, and this combination of algorithms actually enables you to detect various threats that leave a footprint in the network, as we will see in the live example. A result of the detection is an event that corresponds to a threat in your environment, and that event comes with contextual information to understand what is going on and to also see data that is involved in that threat potentially including some forensic analysis samples, as you will see in the live demonstration. When it comes to detection capabilities, we strictly follow the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So we interpret the events by the lens of tactics and techniques that attackers are actually using or attackers are following to achieve their goals. So we can detect various types of activities from the reconnaissance, initial access through getting persistence in the environment, credential access, lateral movement, up to later stages where data is being collected, exfiltrated, or potentially encrypted in your environment to achieve final impact and final goal of the attacker. From the architecture perspective, as I mentioned, our anomaly detection system is integrated with the overall Flowmon architecture. So it's a software module that runs on the collector, and the collector is continuously feeding the data into the anomaly detection system. So in the first stage, we provide data pre-processing. We do so-called flow pairing, which means that we will determine who is a client, who is a server. We will deduplicate flows to avoid inaccuracy in detection. We can correct timestamps. So we basically pre-process the data, and then we feed the data into our so-called detection methods, where we apply the algorithms on the network telemetry and provide new events or update of existing events based on the configuration in that specific environment. It's important to stress that this is all happening inside the Flowmon system on premise. There's no data going out from your environment into some cloud detection engine. So this way we ensure that your data stays within your perimeter. In the next step, we apply so-called perspectives, which means that events will get assigned priority according to defined rules. And in the last step, based on perspectives, we trigger different event actions like email notifications or automated traffic capture, and we make the events available in the user interface. So this is the continuous data flow through the anomaly detection system. Let's now move to navigation in Flowmon ADS. I recommend to start on a high-level view. So don't jump right into Flowmon ADS. Start on the dashboard. There is the option to have a predefined dashboard applied for security operations that will provide a high-level view on the detected events. And you can always customize and you can always drill down directly from the dashboard into Flowmon ADS to analyze specific events. When you drill down to event analysis, you're provided with a view similar like this. There are filtering criteria on the top. There is an event or threat summary and prioritization. You can think about this as a built-in security analyst that is delivered as software and that is able to do an initial analysis and prioritization of what is going on in your environment. So it calculates a threat score of individual hosts. It looks at most malicious events. It looks at significant changes. It looks at what happened recently, some new detections. So it will provide you a summary of a couple of items where you should start your investigations. And then when we move further through the screen, there is an event chart. So you can see number of events detected over time. And these are grouped by event categories. And for each category, we present a trend so you can understand how you are doing in terms of number of events, if you have an increasing or decreasing trend. We strongly recommend to leverage event summary because that shall attract your attention to the hosts that are identified as malicious, or to hosts where the behavior was recently changed. It can also inform you about interesting trends in the volume of detected events or some new detections that haven't been detected before. So this is dynamic view that is based on the time interval, that is based on event priorities, and that shall help you with the question like, where shall I start in my analysis? Then when you proceed with the analysis top-down, you can adjust your event view. You can drill down to specific event category that you are interested in. You can even load the trend comparison. So there are different views how you can slice and dice the data. We will see that much better in the live demonstration. When you open a specific event category and drill down to a specific IP address, which is a source of that event, then you will see the list of individual events on a timeline, as well as details for these events. You can customize table columns, and there is an event context menu that will let you to drill down even farther. You can get to the level of details of each and every event. In that detail, it starts with basic event information that explains what this event is about in a simple, plain language. Then there is the Mitre attack classification, so you can understand that this specific anomaly is automated data exfiltration, and you can understand which device is a source of that event, IP address, MAC address, host name, user identity if available, and we provide associated event information. We will get to that in a minute. And then by default, you will see a list of event targets for that specific event, which means IP addresses, their geolocation, and based on the available information, you can also have like indication of SaaS application or platform or provider who is actually responsible for that IP address. How to interpret events? Our native classification is event types and subtypes that display this generic information about the detection. So event type in this case, what you can see is data upload anomaly, and the explanation of the subtype tells you that this method is able to detect devices that are uploading data outside of your network, which may indicate some malicious activity like data exfiltration or some extensive use of some third-party services or some shadow IT. Then for the Mitre attack classification, there are active links where you can get directly to the Mitre portal, where you can read more information about that specific tactic and technique. Associated event information provide additional context. So you can understand event targets, which means which IPs were involved in the event, either a list of IPs or grouped by countries, IP ranges, or applications. There is the option to put some additional comments. So when you as an analyst are working with these events, you can actually put comments there, or you can label those events with specific categories. So this way you can facilitate basic workflows. Then there are attributes extracted from the network traffic, like amount of transfer data, number of packets, so some aggregated information, context sensitive for that specific event extracted from the network traffic. Then we present so-called event evidence, which basically means the network traffic that caused the event to be detected. So it's a list of flow records, as we will see on the next slide. If you have Flowmon IDS probe deployed, you can also see relevant events that are reported by the signature-based engine for additional context. And if you are using Flowmon Packet Investigator, you can get a forensic pickup automatically captured for critical events and available in the user interface for a subsequent analysis. In the event evidence, you can see the list of flows, so you can see the network traffic. There is a histogram available for analysis where you can switch the dimensions of that histogram. You can export all this information into a text file if you want to share it with someone, for example, over an email. And there is an active link to get to so-called monitoring center where you can do more advanced analysis of that network traffic that is part of the event. So that was an brief overview of the user interface, and let's now move to the live incident investigation, and let me introduce you to the scenario. So imagine that you receive an email from a threat actor that is basically asking you for a ransom to provide you the decryption key for your data, or at the same time, if you are not interested in the decryption key, it's asking for a ransom for not publishing or releasing your confidential data to the public internet. So usually what happened before such an email is that someone breached the company perimeter, established a presence on a device, and from that device pivoted over the environment, find some sensitive information on some servers, exfiltrated that information, encrypted that data, and now is asking for ransom. We have created a lab environment of this scenario. So just to take you through IP addresses, so you will then better understand what you are looking at in the demo. We have a compromised device with an IP address 150 that the attacker has under control. And we have two servers, Samba server and RDP server, that hold sensitive information. Attacker's objective is to get access to those servers, exfiltrate the data, then encrypt the data and ask for ransom. Of course, all these activities are leaving a footprint in the network traffic, and I'm going to show you how this footprint is actually recognized and interpreted as events in the anomaly detection system. So let me move to the live demo. We're looking at the main screen of the Flowmon collector with the individual modules installed, and I'm going to start as recommended in dashboards and reports. So I have here an overview of my security events. I can see the overall status and number of events detected in different priority classes. Also, I have here a MITRE attack framework metrics that is showing me how many different events in different stages was actually detected over the last 24 hours. If I want to drill down, I can take it, for example, from the list of events, which will bring me to the screen that you have seen in the slides. And event summary is actually pretty useful right away because it identified the IP address 150. Remember, this is our infected device, because this device has the highest threat score. So from here, I can drill down to related events, and I can immediately see in which events this IP address is involved, either as an event source or event target. And these events are categorized by our detection capabilities. Now let me take a different route. Let's do a drill down from the MITRE ATT&CK framework metrics. So we will again get to details in anomaly detection system, but we see a different view. It's a categorization of these events based on the MITRE ATT&CK framework, so I can understand that I do have some credential access, discovery, lateral movement, data collection, exfiltration, followed by impact. So when I take it step by step, I can see that there was some brute force attack detected from the infected device against both servers. In one case, it's against the Samba server. In another case, it's against the Windows RDP server. So let's take the RDP server as an example, and let's open the event detail. So this way, I can understand what was detected. It's an attack against RDP protocol, which is classified as brute force password guessing according to MITRE ATT&CK framework. And I have a summary here that is telling me the destination port. Of course, it's telling me the target system that is under the attack and some statistics about the attack. And I have this associated information, as we have seen in the presentation. So when I click on related intrusion detection events, you will see that there is one event detected by the signature-based engine, which is actually telling me that the attacker exploited so-called blue keep vulnerability on the RDP server. So this way we stitch together behavior-based detection with signature-based detection. Let's move on to something even more interesting. So there was an data exfiltration, and I can see basically the same activity detected and reported by two different methods, which brings me back to the combination of detection techniques and capabilities to inspect the traffic from different perspectives to make sure that you will be able to detect anomalies regardless of their nature, because the combination of detection techniques will inspect the traffic from different perspectives and point out what is malicious. Let's take a look at this anomaly in the ICMP traffic, which is classified as exfiltration over an alternative protocol. So when I open event details, I can understand that it has been detected because of large payload included in the ICMP traffic, which is really not expected. And again, here you have some summary. So 16,000 ICMP packets that are full of data in short period of time. It's obviously suspicious. And we can take a look at so-called event evidence. So this way, we will be able to see based on which flow records the event has been detected. So you can see the network traffic that triggered the detection. Also, what we see here is traffic records. So here is the outcome of integration with Flowmon Packet Investigator. You have at hand full packet traces available that you can download for a subsequent forensic analysis, for example, in Wireshark. And if I take a completely different route and don't drill down from the dashboard and take it from the start, I'll start with analysis of events, and I can take a look what has been detected on the timeline it's grouped by different event categories. So I can open a specific category and I can see what is the source IP address of that specific events being detected. And then when I open the grouping for the IP address, I will see two events detected. One represents ARP scan, which is the attacker activity to see what devices on the same network around me are available. And as few devices responded, which is exactly what you can see here. You had a bunch of attempts without any response, and you have 3 devices responding. So when you look at the details, you can see that attacker scanned all these devices and just 3 of them responded. When you look at the subsequent vertical TCP SYN scan, you'll see that these are the 3 devices that were scanned on these different ports. If you want to understand more attributes that are associated with the detection, you can see it in the attributes tab. So you can take different routes in analyzing the events. It depends on the context, it depends on what you want to do, but I always recommend to start with the event summary and then drill down to the level of detail that you need to understand what is going on. So with that, let me open floor for any questions. Okay, I do see a question about integration with the monitoring center. So let me show that in the live demo. So we had here this data exfiltration where I can go for event evidence, and this way, opening the monitoring center and add to filter, I will actually navigate to the Flowmon monitoring center where I can analyze the traffic from any filter, any perspective I need. So it will automatically open the time interval, select the time interval, filter the traffic. So when I now run the query, we will get the flows listed here. But it's really on me what I want to do. If I want to see IP conversations according to amount of transfer data, I can run and adjust the query any way I want. So this way I can see source IP, destination IP, 22 megabytes of data transfer. Okay, any other questions? In case there are no questions, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope the content was useful for you, and let me invite you to our next webinar in this series, where we will be focusing on Flowmon Packet Investigator, and we will be looking at network troubleshooting use cases. Thank you. Goodbye. Sorry, stop. There is a question. So reports, of course. Let me briefly demonstrate that. I can create test report, and I can add whatever chapters I want. So let's see, I want security status, MITRE, attack framework metrics, and I want to add there 10 latest events or events overview by type. Let me change the order of this. Yeah, create report, and now when I run the report, I can get a result like this. And of course, I can export that report into PDF, or I can schedule it for regular delivery over email or storing on an external storage. Another question is about automating workflows for security operation teams. Yes, there is the option to create a ticket in a third-party system. It always depends on what type of system. So it can be either based on email notification, it can be based on some script that will trigger a webhook. And this way, you can create an incident or a ticket in some ticketing system that can then be assigned to an analyst who can work on the ticket and who can investigate the data and then close the ticket appropriately. Okay, so if there are no more questions, thank you again for your attention today and see you at one of our next webinars. Bye.